various outcomes set for your institution. Okay. So before starting off with the mapping and the attainment, let us understand the tagging process of course outcomes with various parameters of the outcome based education. Okay, so we need to prepare a comprehensive table actually for tagging all the information about your COs. Okay, so this has been done by the respective subject teachers, so CO levels, before doing any mapping and attainments of outcomes. Okay, let me show you this open an Excel. So hope my Excel is visible to you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
visible.
okay. So I'll be just zooming in so that you can better have the clarity on. So first we are going to do the tagging of all our course level outcomes which we have set for our individual subjects with the program outcomes and with the program specific outcomes, and also we are going to connect your outcomes with cognitive levels, knowledge categories, and the unit of the syllabus. Along with your syllabus you are going to tag your COs, and you are going to set number of sessions which is allocated for particular COs, and also with the what are the assessment I am going to link all my COs. Okay, so this is, I call it as a comprehensive view of a course. Okay, when it comes to outcome based education. So before going to start any subject or any course at the beginning of the semester, yeah, teacher is requested to prepare this comprehensive table with for their subjects, so that it will be easy for the teacher to go for the mapping of COs as well as the attainment of the COs. Okay, so I have just taken a sample. You will be having 5 COs, CO1 to CO5. It is defined for your subject, and also I have stated 5 different CO statements. Okay, so what first I have tagged it with the domain specific outcomes, or we call it as the program specific outcomes set for your department. Okay, so if I be mapping or tagging what are that PSOs that particular CO1 is contributing to. Okay, so look at this take column PSO. So I have tagged my CO1 with PSO1 and PSO2, which means that CO1, my course outcome 1, is contributing to the program specific outcome set for the department. That's PSO1 and PSO2. Okay, so that is what the this table represents it. Okay, this column represents what are the COs which are mapping to what are the program specific outcomes. Okay, so CO2 is tagged with program specific outcome 2 and 3. Likewise, CO3 is tagged with program specific outcome 2 and 3. Okay, so if I taking CO5, that CO is tagged with PSO2, PSO3, and the PSO4. So this is first you have to do as a course instructor. So you have to prepare what are the PSOs that particular course is contributing to. Okay, so there is first level of tagging we have to do with domain specific outcomes. We are mapping it with our course level outcomes. Okay, the second is the second level of tagging, we call it as we are tagging our respective course outcomes with the program outcomes. Okay, usually the program outcomes are set at the institutional level. Okay, so what are the institutional level outcomes, or it may be a degree specific. It may be set for your UG degree separately, or it may be set for your PG degree separately. Okay, anyway, this is going to be set at the level of institution. So I am going to tag that POs with my course outcomes. Okay, I have 5 COs defined for my subjects. Then I have to tag that with what are the POs this course is contributing to. Okay, at the CO level. So CO1 is contributing to the program outcome I set for 1, 3, and 4. Okay, so basically, so that your courses are contributing to the listed program outcomes here. So that is the next level of tagging. As a subject teacher you have to do it. Okay, so once you have tagged with PSO and PO, we will be mapping all your COs with no your cognitive level. So we have no discussed these two columns in the Bloom's taxonomy, right? Hope you remember we will be having six levels of cognitive no domains, and four knowledge categories are there. Okay, so the cognitive levels we can it will start from remember, understanding, it goes up to create level. When it comes to knowledge categories, we will be having four knowledge categories: the factual, conceptual, procedural, and the metacognitive levels. Okay, so this, if you are taking a core subject, most of your cognitive is sorry, knowledge level is conceptual level. So I have tagged all my COs for this subject at the knowledge level of no a C, which means that conceptual level. Okay, it implies that it is actually connecting with factual, procedural, as well as it follows the conceptual level of understanding. Okay, so it is together, the cognitive level defines what is the type of knowledge the student will get at the end of this, attaining this outcomes. Okay, so for each outcome I have defined what is the knowledge level they will gain it, and also I have mapped with or tagged with what is the cognitive level the student will attain. Okay, so if we are taking this column, now I have tagged my CO1 and CO2 at the apply level. Okay, which means that it is contributing to the remember level and the understanding level. On top of it, it is contributing to the apply level of the outcomes. Okay, so if I have tagged my CO as the apply level, which means that the student will get the cognitive cross the cognitive level of remember, understanding, then they are able to cross the cognitive level of apply. Okay, so you can set the assessments at the understanding level, remember level, and the apply level. Okay, both all the three levels I can able to assess the students. Okay, ultimately at least one of the assessment has to contribute at the apply level for CO1. Okay, if I am taking CO2, that is also I have mapped with the cognitive level apply. When it comes to CO3, 4, and 5, I have just mapped with the understanding level. Okay, so it is depends upon the number of hours we are going to take the no subject. Okay, so I cannot make everything at the apply level if I'm going to handle a subject for only a no total of 44 hours in a semester. Okay, so some of the concept I can able to reach at the level of apply, and some I can able to take our students to the level of understanding. Okay, so this is another kind of tagging you have to do it. You have to tag your COs with the cognitive levels, as well as what level you are going to achieve the outcomes, and also what is the kind of knowledge the student will develop. So cognitive level and the knowledge level has to be tagged for your individual course. Okay, and of course that we have to map all your, usually in the affiliated colleges and universities, they will follow the syllabus of 5 units. Maybe in the autonomous colleges they need not follow the 5 unit, they may have any number of units. Okay, so it depends upon your pattern of your syllabus. You can map the units, either you can go for unit mapping, or if you have different topic level syllabus, then you can map your topics with your corresponding COs. Okay, so that is the next level of mapping it is required. So yeah, I have to map, I have mapped my CO1 with the unit 1 syllabus. Okay, and CO2 is with the unit 2, and CO3 is with the unit 3 of my syllabus, and CO4 with the 4. It need not that no each unit will have a separate CO. Sometimes one particular CO may be contributing to multiple units also, which means that CO1 can also contribute to unit 1, and unit 2 is also related to your CO1. Okay, there may be an overlapping of COs over the units, that is also permitted. Okay, like if I'm changing it like this, miss, this is so CO1 is no is the CO is mapped with unit 1 and unit 2. CO2 is mapped with again unit 2 also, which means that now unit 2 is contributing to your CO1 as well as CO2. Okay, likewise I can, the overlapping is also permitted. So one unit can be contributing to multiple COs. If I'm like giving it like this, now you can take my fourth unit is contributing to three different COs. Okay, now I have tagged it like this. So CO3, CO4, and CO5 mean all these three COs is from the topics, having the topics in fourth unit. Okay, so it is need not that we have to fix it one CO for one unit. If it is defined by the universities, then it is well and good. Or it is, if it is an autonomous institution, while you're designing your curriculum, you are designing the outcomes based on your syllabus, you can map it with one COs for one unit. Okay, it is not always the case. You can also overlap the COs over the units. Okay, that is also possible. In some of the topics from unit 1 is contributing to CO1, some topics of unit 2 is contributing to CO1, and other part of this unit 2 is contributing to the CO2. Okay, so overlapping of units over the course outcome is permissible. So it is depends completely on how we have designed our syllabus and units. Okay, and how we have framed our COs. Okay, so this is another level of tagging we have to do. You have to map your units with the corresponding COs. Okay, so what are the units which contributing to the no CO1, CO2, and the outcomes which you have set. Okay, even if some cases no, the universities has designed only one or two COs for the entire syllabus, which means that the entire 5 units can be contributing to both the COs. That is also possible. Okay, in my case I have taken an example which is actually contributing for each units. Okay, it is not, it need not the same case. Some of the courses, that elective courses or the non-major elective courses, the universities has usually defined one statement of CO or two statement of CO. Then in that case, if you are no taking your syllabus, maybe your entire syllabus may be contributing to both the COs. So what I have to know, map it. CO1 is contributing to all the 5 units. Okay, CO2 is all the 5 units are contributing to the CO5. Okay, so this has to be mapped with what are the topics which is actually contributing to the stated COs which I have given it. Basically we are now mapping the topics of your syllabus with the outcomes which we have stated it. Okay, hope you are clear with this mapping of units.
Yes,
Is-
ma'am.
it's okay. Then the next level of tagging is required is how many hours I am going to take this particular COs. Okay, so it is very important why I have to tag the number of sessions when I am going to do the mapping process. One way of creating the relationship is based on the number of hours I will be taking. Okay, that is one kind of relationship I can make my mapping table for COs. Okay, so I will be defining how much hours I need. I am going to now take how much hours of my total entire, say for example my entire course is 45 hours per semester. Okay, so how I'll be dividing that 45 hours across my COs. So if I'm taking it, I'm going to take CO1 topics, that maybe it comprises of unit 1 and 2. 9 hours I'm going to spend it on covering the CO1. So 9 hours I'm going to cover it for CO2 topics, and 11 hours I am going to contributing to CO3. And this total number of session I am going to deliver it for a particular CO. Okay, maybe your this number of session may cover the unit 1 and 2 altogether. Okay, in this case if I'm taking 11 hours, probably 8 hours I will be covering unit 3, and the remaining 2 or 3 hours I'll be covering it for unit 4. So the remaining fourth unit will be covered for another 7 hours. Okay, so this split is the number of session we are tagging it with the course outcomes. Okay, how many hours totally I am going to contribute or I am going to cover for a particular CO. Okay, so or whatever the topics which are contributing to the CO1, how much hour it is required to deliver the classroom sessions. Okay, so that is number of hours, number of sessions I am going to handle for a particular CO. Okay, so altogether it has to define the total number of hours given in your syllabus. Okay, if it is 45 hours, if it is 60 hours, then your distribution of this number of session has to be 60 across all your COs. Okay, so this is the next level of tagging you have to do while you're going for the mapping and attainment. Okay, And finally, we will be tagging our COs with the assessments. What are the assessment item I have created for my, if you're taking a summative assessment, usually you will be having the component of cat 1 model and the assignment. Okay, see, if you're an autonomous college or an university, your end semester exam will also follows the outcome based education. It is for the affiliated colleges, it is up to the university. If the university is following, then the affiliate colleges can follow it. Okay, but in the case of uh, autonomous colleges or the universities, they can define their own assessment for internal as well as the end semester exam. Okay, so I didn't included the end semester exam here. If your college is an autonomous or the university, then you can also plan for the assessment, what are the COs you are going to address it in the end semester. But most of the cases, all the COs will be going to map it with the end semester exam. So this assessment I have mapped only for my internal calculation. Okay, how much ever is either it is 25 or 75 or 40/60 pattern, which is, or some cases it is 20/80. Okay, how much ever the component we are now going to contribute as a internal marks. What are the assessment components I have it for my internal assessment, I have mapped it. Okay, in case if your institution is an autonomous or an university, you can include the in semester exam also. Okay, anyway, in the attainment we are going to have it differentiation between the internal assessments and the external. So I have mapped my CO1 with cat 1 model and the assignment 1. Okay, which means that my cat 1 question will have the questions of CO1, and also I'll be taking a model exam will also have questions from CO1, and I'll be creating my assignment 1 with the no CO1 questions. Okay, so which is what the assessment mapping means. We are tagging with the assessment means that I am going to ask questions from the CO in the following assessment. Okay, if I'm taking this CO3, I have asked question in my cat 2, that continuous and assessment test 2, and also I have asked questions of CO3 in the model exam, and I also have given the topic for the students for taking seminar from the CO3 topics. Okay, and it is also in the assessed in the assignment too. Okay, so this is entirely designed by the individual subject teachers. So this, before this beginning of any semester, if a teacher is preparing this comprehensive detailed about your course. Okay, this is, we call it as the tagging of COs with program outcomes, program specific outcomes, cognitive levels, knowledge categories, unit of syllabus, and the number of sessions you are going to handle, and what are the assessment I am going to use it to measure the attainment of the respective COs. Okay, so this is the first process. You have to prepare it before entering into the mapping and the attainment process of outcome based education. Okay, hope you're clear with this. Is there any doubts you're having it? This has to be prepared for each subject by the subject teachers. If I'm handling 3 subjects for this semester, then I need to prepare 3 different tables of tagging of COs. Okay, so that is a very basic step when we are going for the mapping and attainment of our outcomes. Hope you're clear with this process. Is there any doubts you're having it? So then I'll be moving on to the first part of today's session, mapping of the outcomes. Okay, usually mapping is done, different levels of mapping we are going to do it, starting from our objectives, program educational objectives with the vision and mission. Then we will be tagging our program educational objectives with our program outcomes and the domain specific outcomes, which we call it as PSO. And we also have the strength of mapping method. to map the outcomes. Okay, and we are going to use the strength of mapping method to map the COs with the PO and PSO. Okay, so that the first two level of mappings we will be just going to do it with the tick mark. Okay, see, if I'm going to map my program educational object, this is the first level of mapping. This mapping has to be done at the institutional level. It is common across all the programs and the either it is undergraduate or the postgraduate programs. Okay, so this level of mapping is done at the institutional level. We have defined the program educational objectives common for all our graduates. Okay, so PO1, PO2, PO3 is the what are the general attributes, graduate attributes of any graduates who is passing out of our institution. Okay, so this POs are set at the institutional level. So we are going to first map this educational objective should map with your vision and mission statement of the institution. So again, this vision and mission statements is defined at the institutional level. Okay, so you may be having no, I have taken a sample of, I have two vision statements, V1 and V2, and I'll be having my institution have three mission statements. So I have defined that as M1, M2, and M3. Okay, so I'll be just mapping it with what are the program educational objectives which are contributing to the vision statement one. Okay, if I'm taking this example, so my vision statement one is contributed by the PO1, PO3, and the PO4. So that how I have mapped my program educational objectives. See, look at that. Here in this mapping we are not taking any outcomes. Okay, so this is the first level of mapping which has to be done if you're following the OBE. This is not about any outcomes. This is if we are tagging your objectives, so ultimately all your outcomes are going to serve the purpose of achieving the vision and mission of the institution, and also the graduate attributes we have set it. Okay, the list of POs we call it as the graduate attribute. So if any one of the student who is graduating out of your institution is going to possess the objective, going to achieve all these objectives set as the POs. Okay, PO1, PO2, PO3, PO4, and PO5. Okay, so if I'm taking my mission statement one, so what are the POs is contributing to my mission statement, I can able to see that. So PO1, PO3, and PO4 of no three POs are contributing to my mission statement one. So this vision and mission is not at the department level. This vision and mission is at the institutional level. So if you are doing a mapping process, you have to start from the top level. Okay, so or either you can use the bottom up approach from the course level, you can go up to the vision and mission mapping. Okay, so this vision statements I have mapped with the program educational objectives. See, there is no numbers I have used it in this mapping. I have just correlated, mean I have, if there is a relation between the PEO and the vision statement, that I have made a tick mark. Okay, so this is not going to give any attainment. I'm not going to do any calculation out of this mapping. Just I am tagging my objectives with the vision and mission statements. Again, this is also, I can call it as a kind of tagging or mapping. Okay, hope you're clear with this. So the next level of mapping is with between the program specific outcomes and program outcomes with your graduate attributes. Okay, so anyway the department is going to be, so POs are domain independent outcomes, whereas PSOs are domain dependent in outcomes. Okay, that is what we call it as PSO is domain specific. So I'm going to map my program outcomes which is set for the institutional level, and PSOs are set at the department level. So I'll be going to again tagging all the program outcomes and the program specific outcomes along with the objectives. Okay, see, when we see the difference between the objectives and the outcomes, we I have clearly quoted that objectives may not be the measurable components. Okay, that's why we are not included any numbering system while you are tagging or mapping the objectives with your outcomes. Okay, when it is purely I am mapping two outcomes, then I have to measure it with a number, or I have to map it with a number. That is what we are going to discuss in the next slide. Okay, so if you are creating a mapping table, so one of your component is objective, then it need not be no measurable component. Okay, it may be a no, it may be a no, it is a no, like I can able to take the contributing POs alone. I'll be just tagging what are the POs it is contributing to the PO1. Okay, when I taking the PO1, the program educational objectives 1, so what are the program outcomes and program specific outcomes are contributing to this? So PO1, PO3 and PSO2 and PSO3 are contributing to the program educational objective 1. Okay, so when I taking PO2, that is a domain independent PO2 and domain specific outcome 1 and 2 are contributing to this educational objective 2. Okay, so if you are having a mapping table in the previous also, we have the objectives and the vision and mission statement. So in this also we have quoted the objective. If you're using objectives in the mapping table, then there is no need for any numbering system. Okay, because we are not going to calculate the attainment or measure the attainment of objectives. Okay, when it is both outcomes, then I will be moving on to the numbering system of mapping. Okay, so that there is a number involved in mapping process. Okay, hope you are clear with this mapping of vision and mission with the POs. And the second step of mapping is all your program educational objectives has to be mapped with PO1, uh, domain independent outcomes and domain specific outcomes. Okay, that is what we call it as P1 PSO. Okay, so when it comes to mapping of outcomes between two different outcomes, you need to understand the strength of mapping. Okay, so where this is where we are going to use the total number of session is very much required to define the level of the strength between the mapping. Okay, usually the strength of mapping is defined at three level: low, medium and the strong. Low is represented as 1, medium is represented as 2, and strong is represented as 3. Okay, so the method of relation can be defined for your own institution at different benchmarking. This is a sample benchmarking I have given it. So what I have set as the strength of mapping is, if 45%, like greater than 45% of my sessions are contributing to that CEOs, then I'll be relating as the contribution level as strong. Okay, so between, if my total number of sessions divided by the total sessions, I can able to calculate the percentage of hours. Okay, so if 25% to 40% of, or 45% of my classes are contributing to this CO, I know I can able to correlate at the level of medium. So the contribution is only 5% to 25% of my classroom sessions out of 45, then that I can relate to the low level of correlation. Okay, if it is less than 5% only my subject is contributing to a particular PO or CO, then I call that relation as there is no relation, or I can simply state it as the zero. Okay, so this is how we are going to use the strength of mapping method in mapping the next two levels, COs with the PO and the PSOs. I'll be just going back to the Excel so that I'll be showing how I have been mapped the COs and the POs. Okay, hope you are able to see my Excel.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir. So in this we have been no mapping. This is actually the mapping of COs with program outcomes and the program specific outcomes. Okay, I have just mapped it. The attainment is not included here. Okay, anyway I'll be taking it in the attainment level. Okay, so I have just mapped. So if I have in my case I have 5 COs defined for my subject. Okay, I'll be having 8 POs set for my institution, or that we call it as the domain independent outcomes or program outcomes. These program outcomes are defined at the institutional level. Okay, for a UG program it may be different, or for PG it may be a different program outcomes. This is up to the institution. Both the UG and the PG programs can have the same program outcomes. It is all domain independent, like critical thinking, problem solving. This is not, these skills or not outcomes are not related to any domains. It's all general outcomes, are graduate attributes we are expecting out of a graduated student. Okay, social instruction skills, effective ethics, environment and sustainability, and the lifelong learning ability of the graduates. Okay, so this 8 I call it as POs, and I have set 4 domain specific outcomes, which is I call it as PO1, PSO1, PSO2, PSO3, and PSO4. Okay, now I have been doing the mapping of, so how I will be mapping this cell. Okay, if I'm taking this cell, the CO1 I have mapped with PO1. Okay, so this has to be calculated with the mapping of strength of mapping relationship. So I have to calculate how many sessions of my syllabus is contributing to the critical thinking in my subject. If it is no at least 5%, at least 5 to 25 percentage of my classroom sessions are going to contribute to the see critical thinking, then I can map it at one level. Okay, that is what we call it as the method of relation. Okay, say look at that, I have set this is no look at it, it is less than 45, not 40. So greater than 45 sessions. If your course is 45 hours, if more than 20 sessions of your class is contributing to the critical thinking, then I can map it at the level of 3. Okay, if I have 25% to 45%, I'm going to, that means that greater than 11 sessions are contributing to the critical thinking, I can map it at the level no, uh, 2. Okay, so this is how I'll be creating the mapping of the COs with the PO and the PO. This is based on actually a correlation process. Okay, so the correlation is done at 3 different levels. So one is at the strong level we may mention it as 3. If it is medium level we call it as 2. If it is low level, then it will be replaced with 1. And if there is no correlation, maybe less than 5% of my sessions of this COs is contributing. Okay, so you have to take out of this COs. Okay, that's why we have mapped the number of sessions with COs. So if I'm taking 11 hours for my CO, okay, so how much hour that out of 11 hours, how much hour is contributing to the critical thinking? Okay, that percentage you have to calculate, and then you are justifying your correlation. Okay, so this is how we are be correlating and filling this table. I hope you are able to understand this, how we are mapping it. See, if I'm no if you are taking this cell, okay, the second cell, so what will happen that you have to know define your the method of mapping based on, you take the how many hours I am going to take it for CO2. Okay, out of the hours which is handled for CO2, you just go to that. Okay, here I have defined how many hours I'll be taking it for CO2. So 9 hours I'll be taking it for CO2. Okay, so out of that 9 hours, how many sessions are contributing to critical thinking, how many sessions are contributing to problem solving, how many hours of that 9 hours is contributing to the communication, it will improve the communications. Okay, this is how you have to do the mapping of the correlation is find out based on number of hours you are see. This is one way of mapping this. It may be up to you. You can understand how much you can define your own method of relation. See, if you want to define the strong relation only, at least 50% of your classroom sessions are contributing, then you can set it as 50%. So it is up to the institution, you can set the correlation no formula for that. The method of relation is purely defined by the institution or the departments. Okay, if you are tagging with COs, then it is up to the teacher who can define the method of relation. Okay, see, if I'm using this method of relation for tagging my PO and PSO, is this has to be set at the institutional level. Okay, if I'm going to do the PSO and the CO mapping, that has to be done at the department level, up at the level of the teachers. The individual subject teachers can define what is the percentage of session I am going to define it for my method of relation. Okay, so it is very important before going for the mapping. Okay, so if you're tagging your COs for the mapping process, then it is up to the teachers. Okay, how many sessions is calculated by the individual teachers, they can define their benchmark for method of relations. Okay, it is greater than 50%, or you can even, if you are going to map the COs with the P1 PSO, I can go for the strong only if 60% of my sessions are contributing to that, then I can make it as the strong. Okay, so the level of relation, the method of relation is purely defined at the no department level for the course outcome mapping. Okay, you can change, this is not fixed rule, you can change it even like 50%, or even you can set 60% only you consider as the strongest correlation between the COs and the POs. Okay, so basically we are starting it with for at least 45%. If it is contributing to that, then we can add. Okay, so this mode of relation you can set it at different level for your POs and as well as for PSOs. See, if you are taking the POs, it is all domain independent. Okay, so it is set at the institutional level. You can follow a different formula for mode of relation for your attainment mapping for POs. I can set no, this is all domain independent, this are domain dependent outcomes, PSO1, PSO2 on. You can have a different mode of relationships. Anyway, you are going to define your method of relation before going for the mapping. Okay, it can be the same for both PO and PSO, or it can be different for your POs and PSOs. Okay, that's up to the institution and the department, they can design their own method of relation. Okay, so once you have defined it, you are going to follow the method of relation to make the correlation work. So this is how we are making the mapping the outcomes and the POs and the course outcomes and the POs and PSOs. Okay, when you are mapping two outcomes, it should be measurable. Okay, so that's where instead of using a tick symbol, we have used a correlation to define the level of correlation. Okay, hope you are clear with this C1 PSO mapping.
Yes, ma'am. It's
Okay,
clear now.
yes, okay, so this is what we have discussed. So we are mapping our course outcomes with the program specific outcomes. Okay, with this I'll be moving on to the second part of the session, which is we are going to calculate, measure the attainment of various outcomes at the assessment level, at the CO level, and we can attain the outcomes at the PSO, and finally we can attain the PO level. Okay, so usually the attainment of outcomes we will be following the bottom up approach. So first we have to measure at the assessment level. So based on the outcome of the assessment level, I will be moving on to the overall CO level. Okay, and then once all the COs are attained, then I can able to calculate the program specific department level attainment. Once all the department attainments are achieved, then I can go for the program which is at the institutional level. Okay, so we'll be following the bottom up approach when it comes to the attainment of outcomes. Why I'll be telling this, when you are taking the mapping of outcomes, we will be following the top down approach. Okay, first we have to map your vision and mission with the program educational objectives or the graduate attributes. Then we are mapping the graduate outputs with the program specific outcomes and the program outcome. Then we have come to the mapping of PO PSO with the CO. Okay, this is what we have followed when we have discussed about the mapping. When it comes to attainment, we will be going on the bottom up approach. We are starting at with the assessment level and the CO level, then we going for the PSO level and the PO level. Okay, so assessment level of outcome is now I'll be going back to my Excel so that you can able to clearly see that. So this is the assessment level attainments, which how we are going to map it. Okay, hope you're able to see clearly my Excel.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So this is the attainment level. I have taken it for a particular subject, which is for the cat 2, that is continuous assessment test 2. Okay, so I have conducted one test. Out of that assessment, how I'll be making the attainment level of COs. Look at that. Say in my question paper I have totally 19 questions. Okay, which may be comprises of part A, part B, and part C. It is up to you that you can define the questions. Okay, so in my example I have taken 10 questions out of part A, and 5 questions which I have defined at part B, and 4 questions in part C. Okay, so I have mapped the cognitive level with each and every questions. So, and also I have mapped out how what is the maximum mark for the individual questions, and very importantly I have mapped all the questions with what is the COs it is tagged with. Okay, so when it comes to attainment, the attainment of your CO starts with your question paper. Probably you'll be following this. I'll be showing some example of the question papers so that you can understand how a question paper will look like if you're going for the attainment. Hope you're able to see my question paper.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So this is how my cat 2 question paper will looks like. Okay, I have part A. I have each questions I have tagged with what is the CO it is mapped with, and what is the cognitive level in which I have asked the questions. Okay, so when you are going for the attainment, then you have to tag your question paper like this. So that is the first step going for the attainment. Okay, so each question will be tagged with your CO. What is the CO it is contributing, and what is the level of the questions I have asked it. Whether it is understanding level, whether it is apply level, or it is simply a remember level. Okay. So if I have only 3 COs, or if I am taking 3 COs for this assessment, this is continual assessment 2, or I can take test 2, CAT 2. I have taken 3 COs, CO1, 2, and 3, and at different levels I have asked the question, the cognitive level. Remember, understanding questions, I'll be having one apply level question, the remaining or the understanding level question. So you have to know, while you are preparing the question paper for the assessment, your question has to be tagged with corresponding COs and the cognitive levels. Okay, so once you have been done it with, so you'll be after the evaluation of the answerships for each individual students, you'll be marking the marks of individual questions. Okay, so this is required if you're going for the assessment level attainment. See, if I'm taking a student X, so she has attended the test cat 2, she has attended the questions. Okay, all the questions she has attended, she has scored this mark out of all the questions she has attended. If I'm taking that question number 14, out of 5 marks she has scored 4. Okay, so likewise this is the no, if you are going for internal assessment level outcomes, you have to uh, record the marks of individual questions student wise. So if I am taking the student Y, look at that some of the columns are empty, which means that the student is not attempted the questions. She has attended the first question and got 1 mark. She is not attended the second question. She has attended the question 3 and got 5, half marks, and she has not attended the question 4. Okay, that empty cells represents that the student is not attended the questions. Okay, this is the next level you have to do it while you are going for the attainment of COs at the assessment level. Okay, so you have to enter all student mark course wise, and then you can also calculate the CO wise marks here. This particular student has secured see, I have asked 51 marks which is contributing to the CO1. Okay, because most of my questions are from CO1. I have asked lot of questions from CO1. So totally I have asked 51 marks for CO1, 17 marks out of CO2, and 7 marks only I have opted for this assessment. Probably in this CAT 2 I have asked only 7 marks for CO3. Okay, so what is the individual student scored out of all this COs? This particular student has scored out of 51 he has scored only 16 marks. Okay, so I'll be calculating the threshold of each students. Okay, so I have set threshold as 50 percentage, which means that my benchmark which I have set for this assessment is at least 50 percentage of students will pass through this CO1. Okay, so what is the 50% of 51 is 25.5. So I have calculated how many number of students has scored above 50%. Okay, so look at that, this is the individual students marks scored out of uh, 51. Okay, so out of I have entered some 9 student details. Also out of 9 students, 5 students has scored more than 25.5. So which is the threshold, or I call it as the benchmark I set for this assessment for this particular CO1. I thought of it at least 50% of student has will score more than 50% of the marks. Okay, likewise I'll be defining the competence for each level of CO. So 17 marks total, overall I have asked it for CO2. So out of 17, 50% is 8.5. So I have measured it how many students has secured the 50% of marks in the CO2. So the 50% of mark out of 70 is 8.5. So almost all the students, means not almost, it is all the students have scored more than 8.5. So the number of students achieved the benchmark is 9. Okay, look at the case of CO3. Now I'll be taken question for 7 marks. Okay, out of 7 marks, how many marks the individual students has scored? Okay, for this CO3, which means that I'll be totaling only the marks of the CO3 questions. See, I have only 3 questions in my entire question paper. This one mark, it is contributing to 1 mark, which if I'm taking CO3, I'll be having only 3 questions. Okay, this question is contributing to CO3, and this question is also contributing to CO3. One more 5 mark question which is contributing to. Okay, so I'll be having 5 plus 1 plus 1, 7 marks, which is contributing to the CO3. Okay, so now I have calculated only that 3 marks of the student. So what is that the students has got in that particular 3 questions, I have added here, so that each student has, this student X has scored only 1 mark out of 7. Student Y scored only 0 mark. So likewise I have calculated the CO level marks. So, okay, so this is the marks achieved by the student for CO3. Okay, so out of total 7 marks, what is that benchmark I have set for this assessment is at least 50% the student will score. Okay, out of 7 marks, so out of 7 marks 50% is 3.5. So I have calculated how many students have scored above 3.5. So 1, 2, and you will be having only 3 students who have been scored more than 3.5. Okay, so this is how the assessment level COs will be calculated. This is for one assessment I have calculated. If you have continuous assessment 1, then you have to calculate it separately. If you are having assignments, seminars for each component of your summative assessment, you have to calculate the attainment at CO level. Okay, this is what we call it as the CO level attainment. So what I'll be going to do it after calculating how many number of students has achieved this. Okay, so this is I'll be calculated what number of student has achieved that COs to my benchmark set. Okay, then I'll be setting the attainment level for this assessment. Okay, if 50% of my students has got the um, the score to the benchmarks, then I call that as the attainment level 1, because that's a benchmark or a basic level I have started with. If it is 60% and more than students got the 50% of score, then I call that as the attainment level 2. If 70% of my students who has scored more than 50%, who has scored more than my threshold, then I call that as the attainment level 3. Okay, see, I have no calculated the number of students for each CO1. Only 5 students has scored more than 50% of mark. CO2, only 9 student has scored more than 50% of mark. For all that, my benchmark is 50%. Okay, for all my COs, the basic benchmark I have set is 50%. Okay, so this number I have calculated for each CO based on the benchmark which I have set. Okay, so in my case it is 50 percentage. Okay, again it is this 50% is up to the teacher. You can define your own. If you want to just keep just pass mark for individual CO as your no benchmark, you can keep it as 40 percentage, or you can keep it as even 60 percentage as your starting benchmark or attainment level. Okay, so it is completely in the hand of the individual teacher. You can set the benchmark for your individual assessments. So if you are creating an assignment for 10 marks, you can set 50%, at least 50% as your first attainment level, which means that if you are giving assignment for 10 marks, you are expecting that 50% of your assignment marks will be scored by all the students. That is what we call it as the threshold. If I'm setting my benchmark as 15, which means that at least 50% of the score has to be secured by all the students. It is not the sum of the students or a group of students. Okay, this benchmark, you are defining it based on the capability of all your students. You're setting this benchmark for all the students, which means that you're telling that all the students in my class will score 50%, okay, of the particular mark. Okay, so if they have all scored 50%, that your attainment is 1. Okay, so if 60 percentage of your students have scored, that your attainment level is 2, and 70% of your student has secured the 50% benchmark, then you call that attainment level 3. Okay, again this is also the benchmark, and the attainment is up to the teachers to design. You can start with 45%, 55%, and 65%, or if you have no creamy layer of students in your class, you can start from 60% here. It means 60% of your class strength has to secure 50 percentage and more. Okay, 60% of students has to score then more than the target I have set. So the target here is 50%. Okay, so I have set target as 50 percentage. So your target and the first level attainment both are same in this case. You can even set different. I can set my target as just pass. Okay, but 50, at least 50% of my student has to just clear the exam. So then what will happen, your pass percentage is, if it is 40, that is your benchmark. But my attainment level, how I'll be setting it, 50% of my students should score the pass mark. Then I call that as, which means that if I have 70 student, 35 students should pass, should score 40% of the marks. Then my attainment level, I have defined it as 1. Okay, so likewise I'll be setting the attainment level, because if I have to go for the attainment level 1, at least 5 student has scored the benchmark. So in my case, CO1, 5 student has scored, so my attainment level is 1. CO2, all the 9 student has achieved it, so my attainment level is 3. When it comes to CO3, only 3 students has achieved it, so nowhere they are coming in the attainment level, so that attainment level of CO3 is 0. I didn't attain the outcome for CO3. So what I should do is, I have to prepare for another assessment, which where I can include more questions from the CO3, so that I can able to calculate the attainment of this. This is, we call it as the assessment level attainment. Hope you're clear with this. I'll be taking a minute. I will be stopping it. If you have any no doubts in it, you can ask.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, if you have any questions, kindly post it in the chat box. Otherwise, you raise your hands, I will mute.
I'll be showing my Excel. I just go through it. If you have any doubts in this, this is, we call it as the assessment level outcome. for a particular assessment. CO2, this is I have taken it. If you have conducted test 1, then you have to create another assessment level. If you're having assignments, then you have to have a separate. I'll be showing you for a complete course so that you can better understand. See, this is my complete hours. Cat 1, I have conducted Cat 2. I have given 3 assignments and 1 seminar, which I have been tagged with different COs. And also, I have a indirect attainment when it comes to CO. So, university exam, and I made to get the results for the university, and it is your final assessment. Okay. So, for each of the components, I have two internal assessments, 3 assignments, and 1 seminar component is there in my internal calculation. So for all the summative assessment, you have to have a separate CO level attainment if your institution is opting for no assessment level outcomes. Okay, otherwise you can skip this. This is not mandatory. You have to go for CO level attainments in the assessments, or you can keep the overall attainment at the assessments. Okay. So, is there any doubts? Otherwise, we can go. Okay. So, I'll be continuing with the topic.
Yes,
So,
ma'am,
this
you
is
can
what we have
continue.
discussed. Yes. Yeah. So, next one is we have the course level attainment. So entire subject, how I'll be calculating the course level attainments. Usually we'll be having two different types of course level attainments will be there. One is direct attainment and another one is we call it as indirect attainment. So indirect attainment is nothing but at the end of your subject, you're supposed to conduct a survey based on your outcomes. Okay, I'll be showing you the sample how the course exit survey has to be you can collect it in a Google form, or you can any mode of survey collection you can do it. So this indirect assessment is you are going to post all your COs as a question. Okay, I'll be showing you a sample so that you can better understand. Hope my Google form is visible to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is how your course exit survey. This we call it as the indirect. So I'll be having no 6 COs for this question, this particular subject. This is a distributed database system. So I have 6 COs stated for this. See, look at that my questions. I will be zooming it so that you can better understand. See, each COs I have converted into a question. I'm able to apply various fragmentation techniques given a problem. This is the first CO set for my course, to apply the various fragmentation techniques given a problem. Okay, so how I have converted my COs into a question, that is the student will understand the question in their perspective, they will answer. The student will read it like this: am I able to apply the various fragmentation techniques given in the problems? Okay, so if likewise you have to convert all your COs into a question, I mean feedback question, then I'll be using a 4 scale method to do the survey. So this is what that result of the survey. So how the student has replied to the okay. So this is how no they responded the question. So this is your indirect assignment. If you're going for no course level attainment, you have to convert all your COs into a course exit survey. Then you can get the responses from all the students. So based on that attainment, you will be able to do the calculation of the indirect attainment. Okay, so when it comes to direct attainment, usually we will be doing the summative assessment and your end semester exam. In case of affiliated colleges, it is purely depends upon the universities. If they follows the no, then we can go for the end semester exam. Otherwise, the direct attainment we can calculate it using the no summative assessment, and as the whole you can take the result of the end semester exam, not at the CO level. Okay, so there are two types of direct and indirect. We are going to give different weightages for this. And then summative assessment is about your cat 2, cat 1, test 1, test 2, or test 3, or model 1, model 2, whichever your institution following it. And after that you will be having assignments and these seminars, or some of them you may have the projects or internship as the internal components. Some of the courses may have every to secure the internals, every semester the student has to take up an internship. So there may be a weightage of marks has been given for the internship. So whatever the component may be, it is not fixed. Okay, I'll be showing it in the big screen. So this component is defined by how you are going to have the summative assessment for your institution. Okay, so this is how your CO attainments will be there. I'll be going back to the Excel so that you can better see that course level attainment. Okay, so for CO1, sorry. So CO1, what is that attainment in internal assessment one? What is the CO1 attainment at the institutional level? This is what we have assessed in the assessment level. Okay, if I'm taking, see, in cat 2 the CO level is attainment level is 1 for assessment 2. So then at the overall level I have to give it as in assessment 2 my cat CO1 attainment is 1. So at the model, if there is any question or attainment, then you can enter it here. So if I'm taking the CO level, CO attainment for the entire course, this is for entire course. I have five no COs for this course. So for each CO is assessed in different component. CO1 is assessed through CAT 2 model and assignment 1. CO2 is assessed using model exam assignment 3 and the seminar. And CO3 is assessed in different components: internal 1, 2, model, assignment, and the assignment 3. Okay, so likewise for individual COs which are attained at the assessment level, we will be giving it here. Okay, so this is in the model exam. I have asked question from all the COs. So what each COs has been attained at the end of the model exam. In assignment 2, I have addressed only CO1 and CO3. Both has been the attainment level of 2. So if I am taking assessment assignment 2, I have addressed only CO4 and CO, which means that in assignment 2 I have asked question from only CO4 and CO5. All the question has been no cleared by all the students, so that attainment level is no, not all the students. If it is 70% and more student has secured it, then it is called it as the attainment level 3. So it is based on your benchmark. This is the greatest benchmark I have set. 70% of my student has secured the 50% mark, then my attainment is 3. Okay, so based on that individual COs I have consolidated for the overall CO attainment. So this all this I call it as the a direct attainment, and we will be calculating it for in internal and the university and semester exams. Okay, because I'll be finding out the average out of all the components. That is, I'll be taking it internal calculation. Okay, anyway, it is based on the 25, 75, or 40, 60, whichever the percentage distribution you are using it, you can able to define it. Okay, so it maybe depends upon your subject. If it is 80/20, I'll be giving 25 percentage weightage for internal attainment, and 75% weightage I'll be taking it from the university exam. Okay, so it is this attainment out of the COs which is based on your end semester examination. Okay, so that is given more weightage because that is how our internal external system is defined. We are giving more weightage to the external exams, and internal marks is only 25 percentage we are taking it. The same attainment I have taken it only 25% and 75 percentage of university attainment. Then I'll be calculating, I'm taking the average of internal and external, I'll be arriving at this. This is my final direct course attainment. Okay, and I have talked about the indirect attainment, right? I have asked the questions as the exit survey. Out of that exit survey, what is the student response, that I'll be calculating as the final indirect course attainment. Okay, again I'll be setting weightage for direct and indirect. Okay, this is again up to the institution to decide. You can take 50% from direct and 50% from indirect, or 75%. Again, the same contribution you can also do, but only I'll be getting the survey from the students. So I'll be giving 20% weightage for indirect and 80 percentage for, so 80 percentage of 2.65 will be taken for no final attainments, that is 2.14. 20% of indirect attainment will be taken it, so that is out of 3, 20% is 0.6. So my final course attainment is 2.74. Okay, so for each individual CO's assessment level, you can take the attainment level, then you have to calculate the overall course outcome. The entire course is, the outcome is 2.74. This is the final outcome for your subject. So this is, we call it as the CO level attainment. Okay, once the CO level attainment is over, then we will be moving on to the course level PO and the PSO level attainment. Okay, so this mapping we have already done it. We have added two more rows in the attainment. So mapping, already we have the first part, we have already done it. So I have added a average calculation and this and the PO attainment. Okay, this PO attainment is based on your overall subject wise CO attainment divided by 3 into the average of PO and PSO attainments. Okay, so I'll be calculating the average of correlation which we have done it, and then I'll be finding out the PO attainment for course level. So this course level, how much the PO and PSO has been attained. Okay, I'll be showing it in the Excel. So you have that course level attainment, right? 2.74 we have achieved it for the course, for my subject. That subject alone I am going to calculate the level of PO attainment and PSO attainment out of my subject. Okay, so in this subject, how much is attained for PO PSO, I have calculated it. How I have been calculated it, this is the mapping process correlation. I have done it using the strength of mapping method. I have calculated the average of each POs and the PSO. This is the average part I have done it. And the PO attainment, how I'll be calculating it. So the overall course attainment 2.74 divided by 3. So out of 3 I have set it into average value, so that I can able to define the, this PO1 is attained using this course at 1.46 level. Okay, that is in this course level PO attainment. This is, I'll be taking if 2.19 is achieved through this course, the lifelong learning of the particular student is attained using this particular subject at the level of 2.19. Okay, so likewise I have been defined, this is all more domain specific, so it has a more weightage, and also it has the more contribution. So when it compares to POs, the PSOs will have the higher level of course level attainments. Okay, so which means that the PSO1, the attainment of PSO1 through this course, this particular subject is 2.0093. Okay, so we can take it as 2.0 is the attainment level of PSO1 through this particular subject. Okay, you will be having lot of subjects in your entire course. Okay, I'll be calculating only the one subject at the P1, the PS4 level. Okay, so this is, we call it as the course level P1, the PS4 attainment. What is the contribution of that course to the P1 PSO? Based on that contribution, I have calculated the attainment level of P1 PSO. Okay, so and finally we'll be having to final P1 PSO attainment is if I'm taking a complete course. I have different subjects. See, look at this. I have, no, I'll be going back to Excel so that you can zoom in. I can show it. This is, we call it as the consolidated final level course. So if you're taking one particular batch, they may have different courses. So in this example, if I have taken MCOM accounting and finance, okay, for this particular batch, there all their subjects are listed here. Maybe from MCOM first semester, second semester, third and fourth, they have totally 26 papers in the entire course of study. For all the 4 semesters together, you have to enter the attainment level of POs and PS4s, which is we have discussed here. For one course, this is the PO attainment. This entire line, okay. For likewise, if you have 26 courses at the end of that, 4th semester, you have to consolidate all the subjects here. This maybe you can take this 5 as the first semester papers, okay. Or you can this, so at the end of the first semester, you know what is the POPS attainment for 6 subjects. You can take another subjects, this and all contributing to the second semester. So this subjects will be calculated at the end of the second semester, and likewise you have to, at the end of each semester, for the individual batches, you have to calculate semester wise subject contribution. This 7 subjects will be calculated at end of the third semester. So after that, you will be having another set of papers for fourth semester students, so for the same students, okay. So this 6 papers they have been writing it in the fourth semester. So at the end of the fourth semester, you are able to contribute or calculate the direct and the indirect attainments. So direct attainment is the average of this. Indirect attainment, again you have to set the your POs and PSOs as the exit survey. So we have seen the exit survey for the course attainment, right? So at the end of the each subject, you will be obtaining the course level indirect attainment. At the end of the course, final year, at the end of the final semester, you have to conduct a survey for POs and PSOs. So this survey is based on your PO and PSOs. So it is a survey. So you have to convert all your domain specific outcomes and the program outcomes, domain independent outcomes as the question that has to be given to the final year final semester students. So based on their response, I will be calculating this indirect value, okay. Then overall attainment is obtained. So here also I'll be using 80% I'll be taking it from direct, and 20% I'll be taking it from the indirect attainment. So this is how the overall course level POs and PSOs has been attained. So this I'll be completing it. I'll be just waiting for any questions, or if you have anybody wants to add anything to this. I know that this is very, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, kindly post your questions in the chat box. Otherwise, you just raise your hand. I will answer. Dear participants, if you have any questions, kindly post it in the chat box.
I think there is no question. Then we can proceed for concluding the session.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of the management and academic staff college, I would like to extend sincere gratitude to ma'am for delivering an outstanding session and your TP. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your time and effort, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, shall we join that, ma'am?
Yes, sir. I'll be leaving.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. We have 40 seconds. Feedback we has in the chat box.